Hello, I'm Simon Whistler, you're watching Top 10's Net, and in the video today we're looking at the top 10 people who accomplished more than you without even trying. Number 10. Guy is sent for random meeting in DC and meets Obama.
Okay, so the president does travel the country meeting people all the time, but if you wanted to actually sit down and have a conversation with the dude, you usually need to be pretty important. Or you could just turn up to a random company meeting like one unnamed low-level CAD specialist from a Utah-based company did. Apparently, the unnamed man got to sit in a roundtable meeting with Barack Obama after his company received a letter inviting a representative to hear a speech given by the commander-in-chief. Thinking the White House just wanted a seat filler, they dutifully sent a random low-level employee. They didn't realize the president actually wanted to speak to the representative personally. As a result, some randomer from the IT department got to chill with the President of the United States for the entire day and got paid for it.
Number 9. Guy enters the wrong poker tournament and wins.
In 2015, Christian Pham rolled into Vegas hoping to sign up for a no-limit Texas Hold'em tournament. Instead, he accidentally signed up to play no-limit deuce to 7 draw lowball against 200 of the best players in the world. Pham didn't even realize his mistake until he sat down and got dealt the wrong amount of cards. Inexplicably, despite having no idea how to play the game and having thousands of his own dollars on the line, Pham won. Reportedly, Pham was so clueless he had to resort to asking other people at the table how to play mid-game. Normally, this would have been a death sentence for a weaker, less awesome player, but many of the other people at the table took Pham's cluelessness as a very convincing bluff. They ended up folding on hands that they may have won. For his win, Pham pocketed just over $80,000 and a solid gold bracelet.
Number 8. Graduate student turns up for interview and ends up on BBC News.
The BBC is a sacred institution committed to the highest standards of journalistic integrity. It's not like they would just throw anyone on the air and let them talk for several minutes about a topic they don't understand, except for one time they totally did exactly that. In 2006, Guy Gomer turned up at BBC Studios to interview for a data cleansing position in the building. At around the same time, the BBC was expecting a technology expert named Guy Cuny to come on air and speak about a recent Apple court case. A BBC receptionist, upon being asked to fetch Guy for his interview, mistook Gomer, a Congolese business student with a heavy accent, for Cuny, a bearded white guy. The BBC then brought him on the air to speak about the case. Gomer, thinking he was just taking part in a very unorthodox interview, heroically attempted to answer questions from the anchor before being dragged off air. As for the interview he was actually meant to be attending that day, he didn't get the job because he turned up too late.
Number 7. Steven Seagal became an action star because he's boring.
Seagal's unprecedented success, in spite of being as interesting to watch emote as a sloth having a prostate exam, has led to questions on how he ever got into showbiz in the first place. As it turns out, Seagal may only be famous because of a bet, specifically a bet made with Hollywood agent Michael Ovitz. Ovitz once boasted that he could make even the most objectively off-puttingly vanilla and uncharismatic everyman in the world into a celebrity. Now, there's no definite proof that Ovitz made Seagal famous to win this bet, but it's worth noting that literally from the first moment he became a Hollywood star, the press have made it clear that Seagal is famous solely because Ovitz went above and beyond what you'd expect from an agent.
Number 6. Woman buys a cat and becomes a movie star's manager.
Managing a movie star generally requires an intimate knowledge of the ins and outs of Hollywood. You need the ability to dodge a cell phone being thrown in a fit of anger and a list of contacts in the industry longer than a giraffe's scarf. For Tabitha Bundenson, though, all she had to do was buy a perpetually angry-looking cat named Tartar Sauce, or as she's known on the internet, Grumpy Cat. The cat has a motion picture being made about it, as well as having its likeness committed to wax in the world-famous Madame Tussauds. All profits have been split between Tabitha, her brother who takes the photos and posts them on Instagram, and the cat's agent. Yes, this cat has an agent and an official photographer. Owning a cat requires such an insane amount of time and effort, of course. They do all of that laying around and being lazy. So naturally, Tabitha had to quit her job at Red Lobster to dedicate her time to taking care of Tartar Sauce and counting her money.
Number 5. Man writes single letter and gets thousands of dollars.
The name Dave Rhodes likely means little to the majority of people reading this, but in certain circles he's considered something of a legend. In short, Rhodes wrote the first known email chain letter begging for money, infamously titled, "Make Money Fast." The email basically asked the receiver to mail a single dollar to every person on a given list of names before adding their own name to the bottom, then delete the name at the top and forward the updated list to everyone they knew. Of course, the whole thing was a scam. This being the internet, that didn't stop it from spreading like an oil slick in a pool with a wave machine. Supposedly, it netted everyone on the original list thousands of dollars, including a mysterious individual identified as Dave Rhodes, the original writer of the email. But here's the best part. Nobody knows who this mysterious Dave is, which is probably a good thing since the scam is like 10 different kinds of illegal. As a result, we have no idea how much Dave, if that even is his real name, netted himself from the scam.
Number 4. Kid eats sand and gets kidney transplant for dad.
Sammy Griner's mother, Blaney, took a photo of him eating a handful of sand as a baby. The image became the basis for one of the most popular and enduring internet memes. Blaney decided to license the photo for financial gain. Even after revealing in interviews that her son is embarrassed by the fact millions of strangers know what he looks like, Blaney heroically decided to keep profiting from the picture because if she didn't, someone else might. In 2015, Blaney decided to use her son's internet fame to raise awareness of a GoFundMe campaign to raise money for Griner's father. He has been suffering from kidney disease since before Sammy was born. Thanks almost entirely to Griner's position as success kid, the campaign was, well, a success. It raised nearly $100,000 towards surgery and aftercare costs.
Number 3. Man sells fish and accidentally writes a hit song.
In 2012, a Pakistani man working at an East London fishmonger's was asked by his boss to think of something to yell to entice customers. After careful consideration, Mohammed Shahid Nazir wrote an offensively catchy song he simply dubbed "1 Pound Fish." The song proved so popular, people visited the stand just to hear Nazir sing it. Eventually, it was filmed and put on YouTube. The resulting video was a viral hit. Following its success, Nazir even auditioned for the British version of The X Factor. Nazir was told point-blank by the judges that he had no future as a singer. Warner Records, however, disagreed. They gave Nazir a recording contract and put out an official music video for the song. The dance version ended up charting at number 28 on the official UK single chart, number 4 on the official dance charts, and number 1 in the UK Asian chart.
Number 2. Woman gets a free round-the-world trip for sharing someone else's name.
Traveling around the world is an endeavor that takes months of planning and a serious financial commitment. For Elizabeth Gallagher, though, all she had to do was email a guy who'd recently split up with his girlfriend. You see, in 2014, a guy named Jordan Aksani had booked a round-the-world trip for himself and his girlfriend, Elizabeth Gallagher. A different Elizabeth Gallagher, we mean. Shortly before the trip, Aksani's girlfriend broke up with him. To add to his woes, he found that the ticket in her name was both non-refundable and couldn't be changed. So rather than travel on his own, Aksani offered the ticket for free to any woman in the world with the same name. This is where the first Elizabeth Gallagher we mentioned came in. After speaking briefly on the phone with Aksani and explaining how she'd always wanted to travel the world, Aksani offered her the ticket.
Number 1. That freaking Chewbacca mask lady.
In May 2016, a woman named Candace Payne uploaded a video of herself laughing while wearing a stupid Chewbacca mask. At the time of writing this, she's made more from that single video than many of us will in a decade. In addition to worldwide fame and millions of hits on the original video, all told, Payne has received about $500,000 in gifts. That includes college scholarships for her entire family, an all-expenses paid trip to Disneyland, and thousands of dollars worth of exclusive Star Wars swag. But that isn't all. In addition to this, Payne has become such a well-known internet celebrity that she's taken to charging people for her autograph.
So I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up below and also subscribe if you haven't already. Also, over there on the right are a couple of other videos you might enjoy if you enjoyed this one. One is the top 10 successful people who failed massively, and below that we've got the top 10 inspirational stories about homeless people. So be sure to check those out, be sure to thumbs up and subscribe, and thank you for watching.